day, my people. This is Video Fashion, and you're welcome to my channel. And today we'll be learning how to make this shift dress with gathered down. You can see the down part is gathered, and the gather is starting from the hip length. Then the sleeve has belts. So this is what we are learning today. And so if you like this tutorial, if you enjoy it, please share, subscribe. And if you have any questions pertaining this, you can put it in the comment section. The implement I will use for this tutorial is shoulder to bust 10, shoulder to under bust 13, shoulder to up length 15, circumference of the bust 36, circumference of the under bust 30, circumference of the up length 30, then the down length is 40, hip circumference is 40, the shoulder is 15, then the sleeve, the bicep is 12, the sleeve length is 11, the circumference of the sleeve length is 11 rather. Then here I will determine the hip will be of 24 inches. I'm using 2 yards of shingon fabric for this tutorial, and for the gathered part, which is the bottom side, I'm going to use my hip measurement into I'll multiply my hip measurement by 2.5 inches. That's what I'm going to gather for the down part. So my hip is 40 times 2.5 will give me 100 inches. So that's the first one I'll cut out, since it's the one that I'm going to use the major part of the fabric. So now I'll measure 100 inches by, I said the measurement I'll be using for the hip length is 24 and the length of the gown is 40. So I will say 40 minus 24, which is going to give me 16 inches. So it will be 100 by 16 inches. Now that 16 inches, I'm going to add 1 inch for seam allowance. So it's going to be 100 by 17 inches. So I'll first measure my 17 inches on these axes. I'll measure my hip point is 10 inches, under bust 13 inches, then the half length is 16 inches. Then where I will determine my hip length is 24, then plus 1 inch seam allowance. This is where the gathered joint began. So the 1 inch is for seam allowance. So I will rule out everything. I will come and measure my shoulder circumference, which is 15 inches divided by shoulder 7.5. Then I will come down by 7 inches as well. For the armhole, I'll connect it. Then I'll come to this side and I'll measure my circumference for the bust, which is 36. Then divided by 4, that will give me 9. Circumference for the other bust is 30, divided by 4 will give me 7.5. Circumference for the other bust is 30, for the half length is 30, divided by 4 will give me 7.5. Then the circumference for the hip is 40. But because it's a shift dress and it's in form of A, I will add extra 3 inch instead of normal 2 inch allowance. I will add 3 here. Then for this part, I will add 2 inch seam allowance for every other part aside from the hip side, which the gather is going to be joined to. Then I'll connect the lines. So this is the actual measurement I'm going to make use of while I join my guidance, not this one. So it's going to be on this shape. Now for the armhole, I'll come up here and measure 4.5 inch. Then I'll place my table back on this angle. I'll measure 1 inch for the armhole, and I'll connect it like so. Then here as well, I'll transfer the measurement I have here, which is 11 inches. I'll transfer it to this side. 11 inches back here. Then I'll add 1 inch for the slant for my armhole shape. So I'll cut it out. I've placed my the front body back on the fabric. Then I measured 1.5 inch for my zipper allowance. Then I'll chop it out. Then I'll cut out all these parts. Then come and cut my neckline. For the neckline, I'll come in by 3.5 inches. That's for the width. See where I placed it. I placed it on the front bodies and not where the zipper allowance is. So I'll come in by 3.5 inches. Then because I'm cutting both back and front together, I'll still make use of 1.5. That's for the back side. So I will still cut the front side lower than the back side. But because they are still together now, I'll cut it like so. Then for the shoulder, I'll measure 1 inch here, then slant it to my shoulder. You know, our shoulder is not straight. That's why I'm doing this. Then I'll open up the back side where the zip is going to be fixed. Now, for the neckline, this is the front. So for the neckline for front, I want it to come down small. So I'll make it of 5 inches. Then give it a curved shape like so. I'll trim it up. Then the next thing I'll do is this down part, I'll notch the middle side. So when I'm fixing in my gather, I will know where the middle is. Sleeve, I will use 16 inches. That's the length from my shoulder to the length of the, before I join the rope. So I'm making use of 16 inches for that. Then for the bicep, I'll use 5 inches. Then for my this elbow, I'll use 10.5. So that's the length. Now for the circumference, the bicep is 12 inches. So plus sewing allowance of 1 inch. Then at the elbow, I'll measure the circumference there is 11 inches plus sewing allowance of 1 inch. Then at the length of the sleeve, it's 10 inches, then plus 1 inch sewing allowance. Then I'll connect the lines. At this upper part again, since it's not going to have any puff, I will measure 2 inches like so. Then the total I have here, which is 7.5, I'll transfer it back at 7.5. Then add 1 inch extra. So for the slant shape, then I'll connect it like so. So that's for the sleeve. So I've placed the first one on the second sleeve, then cut it out. Then I'll notch the middle part as well. So the next thing now is to cut the rope. The rope varies, depends on your choice, how big and how wide you want it to be. So because I don't have much fabric left, I measured 22 by 3 inches. So I cut 2, that's for the 2 sleeve. Next thing now is to cut my facing. So because my fabric has finished, I have to use small pieces of lining to do the facing. So I placed my fabric like so on it. Then I'll just trim out the neckline and the elbow in every shape that I transfer. Then I will add my paper tape to the facing and use my hemming gum for the finishing. Now I've sewn my facing with my front bodies. You know, I said I will add paper tape. Then I've used my hemming gum to do the finishing here. Then I did likewise for the back side. So what I will do now, I will hold my measurement by the side, then sew the neck as well, the shoulder rather. So for the down part, which is going to be gathered, I will now sew, this is, you know, I told you it's 17 inches. Then I'll
sewn the down, which I left 1 inch for, and the allowance. So now what I'll do now is to sew like 3 lines here. So that is what I will use to drag it and make the gather. Then I will now attach it to these upper bodies that is coming. I notched the middle part. So I will now sew out of the 3 threads. I told you that you run like 3 stitches. So I've done that, and I've used the thread to smoke my gather. You can see. So now the next thing is for me to sew it on my upper bodies. So I gave it a small opening here, just like this, so as to turn the parts where the rope will be joined together. This is what I did there. So this is what I'm going to use to turn the small space that I left. So when I'm sewing this, I cut this into 2. I will attach one to this side and it will end here, so I can tie it at the middle. Then the other one will come and meet it, just like this. What I've already done. Tie it.